if I was going to be diplomatic, I would say that most of Frank Warren's shows, particularly his smaller shows, are not to my taste. But if I was going to be blunt, I would say most of Frank Warren's shows are crap. Right? That's what I'd have to say. But in this instance, Frank Warren is putting on one of his smaller shows tomorrow, and this is actually a good show. One of those very, very rare occasions when I'm actually interested in one of the smaller Frank Warren shows. This is a good show, a good card, at least on paper. Top in the bill, you got Jack Catterall versus O'Hara Davis. You got Leon Woodstock versus Archie Sharp. And you got Daniel Dubois versus Kevin Johnson. Now, this is supposed to be a mismatch, right? Dubois against Johnson, it should be. It's a fight in which I'm interested in seeing Dubois' progress. Not so much seeing him in a competitive fight. I'm not expecting it to be a competitive fight. I'm expecting Daniel Dubois to win this fight decisively. But I do want to see how he's progressing. I was impressed with his last performance against Tom Little. So I'm interested in that. Woodstock against Archie Sharp, there is beef there. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of either fighter in terms of what I've seen so far of them in the ring, but there does seem to be beef, and they are young guys who have a lot to prove. And in situations like that, you can often get a good fight popping off. But the fight that I'm most interested in is the top of the bill, Jack Catterall versus O'Hara Davis. And I'll make a separate video about that and give my thoughts and my prediction on it. But in this video, I'm going to concentrate on the Daniel Dubois versus Kevin Johnson fight. Now, if we have a look at Kevin Johnson's record here. Now, we all know that he got blasted out by AJ a few years ago. When was that? That was back in 2015. He was blasted out in 2 rounds. Then he stepped away from boxing. He said he was going to retire. But since then, he's come back as so many fighters do. He came back 2 years later in 2017. Won a fight. Then he lost to Pulev on a decision. Won a couple more, including the TKO victory over Pianetta last year. Then he lost to this Petar Milas guy by TKO. He says there was some kind of controversy with the Milas fight, and he's lobbying to get the result changed. I didn't see it myself. I don't know what happened, but I'm assuming by what he's saying that it wasn't a straightforward loss. I mean, maybe he's talking BS and it was a straightforward loss, but the way he's been carrying on in the interviews is as if it wasn't a straightforward loss. Then he fought Andy Ruiz, went the distance. So other than the AJ fight, and I did say this previously, yeah, it's true. Other than the AJ fight, Kevin Johnson's never been stopped. So Daniel Dubois will be doing pretty well if he manages to get Kevin Johnson out there. Because if Kevin Johnson goes in there with the mindset of surviving, it's going to be difficult for Dubois to get rid of him. And Johnson goes into the ring a lot of the time with the mindset of surviving. Even when he fought Derek Chisora several years ago, he went in there to survive, and he did survive. He went the distance with Fury. He's been the distance with so many people. Ruiz is a 30-0 heavyweight contender who's fought for the heavyweight title. Kubrat Pulev is a heavyweight contender who's right up there in the IBF rankings, who's fought for the heavyweight title. And these are guys who are going the distance with Kevin Johnson recently. So if Dubois can get rid of this guy, that is a good result. But we have to entertain the possibility that Kevin Johnson could actually take Dubois rounds. Like I say, particularly if he's going in there trying to mess Dubois around and just survive, he could. So we'll see what happens here. And Johnson going into the Joshua fight, he said he had some personal problems behind the scenes, which he won't talk about, but he said there was some serious personal problems. And that's why he retired after the fight, because he had to take care of these personal issues because he couldn't concentrate on boxing and these personal issues at the same time. But he says these personal issues were resolved, and that's why he decided to come back. So he says he's towards the end of his career. He knows that, but You know, that's the reason he claims he's come back. It could just be a bunch of BS. He could have just come back for money. Maybe he felt like he didn't need boxing no more. He could go and do something else. But then he thought to himself, now, you know what? I do need some extra money. Let me go in and take a couple fights and drum up some paper. So, I mean, who knows what's really going on with him. But yeah, I'm interested to see if Dubois can get him out of there. And maybe, you know, you never know. Maybe it will be competitive. Maybe Kevin Johnson has got one decent performance in him. One thing about Kevin Johnson that he always had was a pretty good chin. Well, more than one thing. He had a pretty good chin, a pretty good defense, and a good jab. I remember when he fought Vitaly Klitschko, he actually marked Klitschko's face up in that fight with his jab. So he's always had a good jab, decent chin, decent defense. It's only, as I say, AJ who was just able to walk straight through him. You know, just totally obliterated him. We'll see what Daniel Dubois can do. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Will Dubois do a similar job on Johnson to what Anthony Joshua did? Or will he be extended a few rounds? Will he even go the distance? Will Dubois be made to look not so devastating in this fight? Will people be saying, well, you know what? Actually, Dubois needs some more learning fights. Because, again, bear in mind, if Daniel Dubois goes the distance here, it's not the end of the world. It don't mean Dubois is not a good prospect. It don't mean Dubois can't be a world champion. It don't mean any of that. Yeah? I'm not predicting that he will or he won't do any of those things. But what I'm saying to you is don't get too, harsh on Dubois if he doesn't get rid of Kevin Johnson, given the fact that Andy Ruiz and Kubrat Pulev, 2 top 10 heavyweight contenders, couldn't get rid of him within the last year. So if Dubois can't, it's not so much of a big deal. Dubois, I think, weighed in a pound over 17 stone, so that's 239 pounds. Kevin Johnson, I think, weighed over 18 stone, so he must be in the 250s. Dubois is a big man, but not as big as the big guys like Joshua, Fury, etc. He's more the kind of size of a Kubrat Pulev, that kind of size heavyweight. But still a decent enough size. He's certainly not a small guy. But weighing just over the 17. In fact, it should say it in pounds here. Oh no, they haven't given their weights yet. Sometimes BoxRec will give the weights even before the fight. But not here. So yeah, let me know how you guys feel about Dubois against Kevin Johnson. How's this fight going to play out? Drop it all in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.